Hello everyone. Today we'll be talking about the alluvial floodplain. So here you can see behind me is a beautiful alluvial floodplain. So this alluvial floodplain in particular was formed by the Hogtown Creek. So over the years what it's done is that creek has wound its way up and down all the land around here. And what that has caused is a very kind of silty soil that is built up and create a very good habitat for a lot of the species you see behind me. So right here, past this palm, you see that there's a beautiful loblolly pine. I also have y'all set up on loblolly pine, and you can see things like this. This right here is just some pine needles. You see that there are three distinctive needles on this one little cluster. That's something that's very distinctive of loblolly pines. Not necessarily distinctive. A lot of different pines have that cluster of three, but loblollies only have that cluster of three. The very flaky bark that you see on is another characteristic. You can't quite see it here, but the crown is another characteristic that will distinguish it from something like a slash pine. The slash pines, which will sometimes have two needles on those bunches, the crowns on them are quite unique and different from the loblolly pines. Here, of course, we have a palmetto, a very common thing for Florida. There's not a whole lot to say. We all know about those, you know. Another very common thing in this community are these swamp tupelo. So these swamp tupelo, they're distinctive in their own way. They have this bicoloration to them. They have a lot of kind of splotches of white on their bark. As well, this one may not be the best example, but they have a very wide base that narrows as it goes up. So some things to note about this particular forest community. One, the dangers that they're in. So while I'm listing these native species, there also are quite a number of non-native species. Just over there, y'all can't see it, but there's quite a lot of Chinese holly. It's actually very prolific that way. There's hundreds of yards of just Chinese holly in the underbrush, just suffocating everything around it. Things like this are a threat to this community, and that's kind of external threats. And in terms of internal threats, they can also have issues like with this one you see behind me. Is very dry. It has been very dry this year, and that is not good for the soil and for the trees in this community. They're not used to it. They need kind of that dampness, that wetness. Now the soil in these particular locations, there's a lot of plant matter in it. One, there's a lot of plants, but it hasn't quite had the time for that to break down to really well-developed soil. So around here you can get very, very fertile soil, and that's really good for farming. In fact, it's something like 60% of the farms here in Florida built on these alluvial floodplains. A good example of an alluvial floodplain being used for farming is the Nile Delta. I mean, come on. That, Mississippi River, it's a very similar thing. I think that's about all I have to say about this particular floodplain. But I hope you all have enjoyed. Hope you learned something. I hope you have a great day.